The world of Lumina was a cradle of twilight, not because the sun never shone, but because its light was a borrowed, softened glow, filtered through a million shimmering petals. These were the astral bloom flowers, colossal blossoms that unfurled across the valley, their petals catching the light of the distant sun and refracting it into a perpetual, gentle luminescence. But the true heart of Lumina, the very magic that sustained its unique ecosystem, was not the sun nor the earth, but the stardust that fell from the sky each night. Every evening, as the sky deepened from lavender to ink, a hush would fall over the village. Families would gather by their open windows, children would press their noses against the cool glass, and the Stardusters, cloaked in their deepest indigo robes, would ascend to the highest platforms. And then it would begin. A faint, almost imperceptible shimmer would appear high above, like a veil being drawn across the stars themselves. Slowly, steadily, it would descend. Not as rain, nor snow, but as millions upon millions of infinitesimal motes of pure light, drifting down on currents of air too gentle to stir a single leaf. This was the Stardust. It settled on everything: the tiled roofs, the cobblestone paths, the sleeping astral bloom flowers, and the outstretched, specially woven collection nets of the Stardusters. It wasn't cold, but strangely warm to the touch, like catching a fragment of a dream. It smelled of ozone and fresh dew, with a hint of something sweet and distant, like memories of forgotten gardens. And wherever it landed, life flourished. The astral bloom flowers drank it deep into their roots, glowing brighter with each passing night. The crops in the terraced fields swelled with unnatural vitality. Even the villagers themselves felt its subtle touch, their spirits lifted, their dreams vivid and hopeful. Elara had known the Stardust her entire life. She was born under a sky ablaze with its falling light, her first breath a gasp of wonder as a single mote drifted past her tiny fingers. Now, at 16 cycles, she was an apprentice Starduster, a role she cherished with a fierce devotion that sometimes bewildered her peers. While other apprentices saw the Stardust as a resource to be collected, measured and stored, Elara saw it as a living breath of the cosmos, a direct message from the heavens. She felt its whispers, its subtle shifts in energy, its varying moods, in a way no one else seemed to. Tonight, as the first tendrils of Stardust began their descent, Elara stood on the observation platform, a delicate net of lunar silk slung over her shoulder. Her indigo robe, still a little too large, rustled around her as a soft breeze stirred. Her eyes, the color of deep forest moss, were not fixed on the nets below, but on the vast, star-dusted expanse above. She watched the patterns of the falling light, tracing constellations not of stars, but of the Stardust itself. Sometimes it fell in gentle spirals, other times in long, sweeping curtains. Tonight, it seemed to be a delicate, shimmering rain, each particle a tiny jewel. A shiver, not of cold but of anticipation, ran down her spine. "It's a good fall tonight, Elara," said a voice beside her, rich and resonant as old wood. Master Lyra, her mentor, stood tall and serene, her face etched with the wisdom of countless Stardust seasons. Her silver hair, usually braided, was loose tonight, catching the light like spun moonlight. "The astral bloom will drink deeply." "Yes, Master," Elara replied, tearing her gaze from the sky to offer a respectful nod. "But it feels different. A finer shimmer, perhaps. And the scent, it's sweeter than usual, almost like a spring rain, even though the harvest festival is still a moon away." Master Lyra smiled, a gentle crinkling around her eyes. "You have a sensitive soul, little stargazer. The Stardust is ever-changing, like the tides of the sea. It reflects the season, the phase of the moon, even the dreams of the sleeping world below. To feel its nuances is the mark of a true Starduster." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the vast falling light. "But do not let your heart be troubled by every whisper. The Stardust is bountiful. Lumina thrives." Elara nodded, though a small knot of unease remained in her stomach. Master Lyra was right, of course. The Stardust was bountiful. Lumina, with its perpetually blooming flowers and rich harvests, was a testament to its generosity. But Elara's sensitivity wasn't just about scent or shimmer. It was a deeper resonance, a feeling in her bones. For the past few weeks, she'd felt a subtle shift, a faint, almost imperceptible weakening in the Stardust's energy. It was like hearing a beloved song played a half-note flat, barely noticeable, but enough to make her heart ache. Her duties, however, cold. With the precision of long practice, Ilara descended the winding stairs to the collection platforms. Here, the other apprentices were already at work, carefully unfurling their lunar silk nets. These nets, woven from the threads of giant, nocturnal spiders that spun only under a new moon, were magically attuned to Stardust, allowing it to settle without passing through. Each Starduster had a specific section, a carefully mapped territory of nets to unfurl, collect, and then seal the precious motes into specially crafted glass vials. "Another good haul, Ilara," chirped Kale, a boisterous apprentice whose enthusiasm for Stardust collection often outstripped his careful handling. He was already sweeping his first net, the captured light swirling inside like a miniature galaxy. Enough to keep the starlight lamps burning for another week, I wager. Ilara offered a polite smile, but her focus was elsewhere. She moved with deliberate grace, her hands knowing the familiar rhythm of the nets. She stretched out the vast expanse of silk, securing its corners to the posts, then watched as the stardust began to accumulate. It gathered quickly, a glowing blanket of pure light. She could feel its warmth radiating upwards, a comforting presence. But even as she worked, her senses were attuned to the fainter notes. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the stardust fall upon her face, feeling its faint, ticklish touch. There was a subtle in-Holloway feeling, she thought, like a bell that didn't quite ring true. When she opened her eyes, the world around her was a kaleidoscope of soft, swirling light, and she felt a fleeting sadness, like a distant memory glimpsed through a fog. "You're dreaming again, Ilara?" teased Lyra's second apprentice, Finn, a practical young man who preferred clear instructions to poetic musings. "Better focus on your collection, or Master Lyra will have you polishing the starlight lamps all week." Ilara shook her head, a small frown creasing her brow. "It's nothing, just a feeling." Finn shrugged, already turning back to his own overflowing net. To him, Stardust was simply a commodity, a source of light and fertility that kept Lumina prosperous. He didn't question its origin or its subtle language. He was a good Starduster, efficient and reliable, but he lacked the deep, almost spiritual connection that Ilara felt. As the night wore on, the Stardust continued its steady descent. The collection platforms filled with glowing nets, the air thick with the scent of ozone, and the soft hum of captured light. The Stardusters worked tirelessly, their movements fluid and practiced. Ilara filled her own vials, sealing each one with a wax imbued with astral bloom pollen, preserving the Stardust's potency. Each vial represented life, sustenance, and the glowing heart of Lumina. Yet, as the last of the Stardust fell, and the first blush of dawn began to paint the eastern sky, Ilara's unease deepened. She had noticed it in her own collection, a slight reduction in volume, despite the seemingly abundant fall. And the subtle hollowness she'd felt earlier hadn't gone away, it had intensified. It was like a chord unresolved, a story left unfinished. She approached Master Lyra, who was overseeing the final sealing of the largest communal collection. "Master Lyra," Ilara began, her voice low, "I know you said not to trouble my heart, but I feel it strongly tonight, the Stardust. It feels thinner, less potent, and I collected less than usual from my section, even though the fall seemed generous." Master Lyra paused, her hands still resting gently on a shimmering vial. She turned to Ilara, her gaze piercing but kind. "Ilara, my dear, the Stardust flows in cycles. Sometimes it is robust, sometimes it is delicate. Perhaps the season is turning, or the lunar alignment shifts. Do not mistake a natural rhythm for a failing." She placed a hand on Ilara's shoulder. "Your sensitivity is a gift, but it can also be a burden if you let it lead you to worry over every whisper of the wind. Trust in the Stardust, Ilara. It has sustained Lumina for generations untold." Ilara looked down at her hands, still tingling from the Stardust. She wanted to believe her mentor. Truly, she did. Master Lyra was the wisest Starduster in Lumina, her knowledge of the stars and their gifts unsurpassed. But the feeling in Ilara's gut persisted, a persistent hum of dissonance. It wasn't just a whisper. It felt like a growing silence, like a song fading. Reluctantly, Ilara finished her duties, her mind still wrestling with her intuition versus her mentor's calm reassurance. As the sun finally rose, casting long shadows across the valley and causing the astral bloom flowers to fold their petals in sleep, the Stardusters dispersed, their indigo robes now dusted with a faint ethereal glow. The day in Lumina was a time for rest, for processing the night's bounty, and for preparing for the next fall. Elara retired to her small room, but sleep eluded her. She lay on her cot, gazing out her window at the sleeping flowers, their folded petals a gentle muted purple in the daylight. The stardust vials she had collected sat on her windowsill, their glow dimmed by the sun, but still radiating a faint, comforting warmth. She picked up one, turning it over in her hands, trying to decipher its silent language. Was she imagining things? Was her youthful imagination simply overactive? She spent the day in a quiet, contemplative mood, helping with the sorting of the stardust into different grades for the starlight lamps, the irrigation systems, and the healing salves. Each task, usually a soothing ritual, felt tinged with her nagging worry. As evening approached again, a new kind of anticipation settled over Elara. Tonight, she decided, she would not just collect. She would observe with every fiber of her being. She would watch the stardust, not just as a starduster, but as a seeker of truth. The second night began much like the first. The sky deepened, the hush fell, and the first shimmering motes began their graceful descent. Elara took her place on the platform, her breath held. She watched, she felt, she listened with an intensity that burned. The stardust fell, beautiful and abundant, but the subtle hollowness was still there, a phantom ache beneath the wonder. Then, just as the fall seemed to be reaching its peak, just as the air was thickest with glittering light, something else happened. It began as a faint, distant hum, vibrating through the very air, too low for her ears to truly hear, but resonating in her chest. A deep, resonant thrum that seemed to come from the very heart of the heavens. The regular stardust seemed to falter for a moment, its gentle shimmer momentarily obscured, as if holding its breath. Then a streak of light, unlike any Elara had ever witnessed, tore across the sky. It wasn't the fleeting ephemeral glow of a shooting star. This was a bolt of pure, concentrated brilliance, a sapphire flame streaking through the velvet blackness. It was impossibly bright, leaving a shimmering, lingering trail that pulsed with its own inner light. It moved with a speed that defied comprehension, yet with a strange, deliberate grace as if guided by an unseen hand. Elara gasped, her breath catching in her throat. Around her, the other stardusters paused, their heads tilting upwards, their faces bathed in the sapphire glow. Master Lyra, standing on the highest platform, raised a hand to shield her eyes, her usually serene expression one of profound awe. The streak curved, descending rapidly towards the valley. It wasn't headed for the village, nor for the highest peaks. It was aiming for the silent glade, a sacred, untrodden part of the astral bloom fields where the oldest and most revered flowers grew. A place where only Master Lyra and a few chosen elders were permitted to enter. With a silent, almost imperceptible whisper, the brilliant streak touched down. There was no explosion, no crash, no sound of impact. Just a sudden, intense burst of sapphire light that illuminated the entire glade, making the sleeping astral bloom flowers glow with an impossible vibrant blue. Then, just as quickly, the light receded, leaving behind only a faint, lingering pulse, like a heartbeat in the earth. A stunned silence fell over the stardusters. No one moved, no one spoke. The regular stardust, which had paused, now began to fall again, but its gentle descent felt insignificant compared to the celestial event they had just witnessed. Elara felt an irresistible pull, a magnetic force drawing her towards the silent glade. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat urging her onward. It wasn't fear, but a profound sense of destiny, a certainty that this was what the stardust had been trying to tell her. This was the change. This was the answer. Before she could even think, before reason could catch up with instinct, Elara found herself moving. She slipped away from the platform, her indigo robe blending with the deep shadows of the pathways. Her feet, usually so careful, now flew over the cobblestones, carrying her down towards the edge of the village, towards the forbidden glade. She ran through the dew-kissed fields, the sleeping astral bloom flowers brushing against her legs like soft velvet. The air here was different, charged with a faint residual hum of energy. The ground beneath her feet seemed to thrum with a silent song. The boundary of the silent glade was marked by ancient, gnarled trees, their branches interwoven like protective arms. A simple wooden gate, usually barred, stood ajar, as if the mysterious visitor had simply passed through without effort. Elara pushed it open, her breath catching as she stepped into the hallowed space. The glade was breathtaking. The astral bloom flowers here were ancient, their petals reaching higher than any in the village, their usual purple hues now tinged with an ethereal, pulsing blue from the lingering energy. In the very center of the glade, where the light had touched down, was a small, shallow crater. And nestled within it, radiating a soft, steady sapphire glow that made the surrounding darkness retreat, lay a single, magnificent shard. It was unlike anything Elara had ever seen. Not a rock, not a gem, but a fragment of pure light, solid yet translucent. It pulsed with an inner fire, a living star trapped in crystal. Its surface shimmered with every color of the night sky, but its core was a deep, impossible blue. It hummed with a silent song, a melody of stars and distant wonders, that resonated deep within Elara's soul. She approached it cautiously, her hand outstretched, drawn by an invisible force. The air around it was warm, imbued with a gentle, benevolent power. As her fingers neared its surface, the shard pulsed brighter, and a faint, sweet scent, like the essence of 1,000 blooming astral bloom flowers, wafted towards her. This was no ordinary stardust. This was something ancient, something profound. It was a fragment of the cosmos itself, fallen to Lumina. And as Elara gazed into its depths, she felt a certainty settle deep within her heart. This shard held a secret, a truth that would forever change her understanding of the stars, of Lumina, and of her own place in the vast, shimmering tapestry of the universe. The air around the Stardust shard seemed to hum, a silent melody that resonated deep within Elara's bones. It pulsed with a soft inner light, not reflecting the moonbeams, but emanating its own gentle glow, like a captured nebula. The scent of astral blooms intensified, swirling around her, a fragrant caress that promised ancient secrets and starlit wonders. With a deep breath, Elara reached out, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. As the tip of her index finger brushed against the cool, smooth surface of the shard, a jolt, not of electricity but of pure crystalline energy, surged through her. It wasn't painful. It was exhilarating, like plunging into a pool of liquid starlight. The world around her dissolved. The familiar rocks of the crystal caves, the faint glow of the lumiflora, even the sense of her own body, faded into a swirling vortex of shimmering colors. She was no longer in the cave. She was everywhere and nowhere, a single point of consciousness adrift in an ocean of cosmic light. Then a vision bloomed before her inner eye. It wasn't a static image, but a living, breathing experience. She saw Lumina, not as she knew it from the surface but from an unimaginable distance, a jewel-like planet suspended in the velvet expanse of space. But this Lumina was different. It pulsed with an inner radiance, not merely reflecting the light of distant suns, but generating its own ethereal glow. Lines of shimmering, golden energy, like a vast, intricate circulatory system, crisscrossed its surface, connecting mountains to oceans, forests to deserts, each point sparkling with concentrated starlight. And the stars, they weren't just distant pinpricks of light. They were extensions of Lumina itself, threads of a vast cosmic tapestry woven from the planet's very core. Lumina was not just a world under the stars. It was a cosmic heart, beating a rhythm that resonated through the universe, calling forth new nebulae, nurturing nascent suns, singing the very stars into being. The astral blooms she loved so dearly were not just flowers. They were the purest manifestation of this song, capturing Lumana's cosmic breath in their delicate petals. The jolt of understanding was profound, overwhelming. Her mind, usually so clear and logical, was flooded with a knowing that transcended words. Lumina was a dreamer, a celestial artist, perpetually dreaming the universe into existence, and the stars were its magnificent shimmering dreams. Then, the vision shifted. The vibrant golden lines crisscrossing Lumina's surface began to dim, like a fading ember. A subtle, almost imperceptible shadow, like a wisp of forgotten sorrow, began to spread, veiling the planet's brilliant glow. The cosmic song, once a booming symphony, softened to a mournful whisper. The connection, the sacred bond between Lumina and its starlit dreams, was weakening. Just as quickly as it began, the vision receded. Elara gasped, her eyes snapping open. She was back in the crystal caves, lying on the cool, damp floor. The stardust shard lay beside her, pulsing faintly, its inner light now a soft, steady thrum. The scent of astral blooms still lingered, but now it held a poignant note, a hint of ancient yearning. She sat up, her heart pounding, her mind reeling. The truth she had glimpsed was too vast, too magnificent to fully comprehend in a single moment. Lumina, a cosmic heart, deity. The stars, its dreams. And a weakening connection, a fading song. A deep certainty settled within her. This wasn't just a secret for her to keep, it was a truth for her to understand, and perhaps, to help. The shard, as if sensing her resolve, pulsed with a renewed, gentle energy. It seemed to vibrate with a soft, insistent pull, tugging her gaze towards a particular direction deeper within the caves. Cautiously, Elara picked up the shard. It felt warm now, comforting, as if it had become a part of her. Its light brightened, casting a flickering iridescent glow that danced across the cave walls, highlighting crystals she hadn't noticed before. It was guiding her. Driven by an irresistible curiosity and a burgeoning sense of purpose, Elara rose to her feet. The shard continued to hum in her hand, a living compass pointing the way. She walked deeper into the labyrinthine passages of the crystal caves, the familiar paths now imbued with a new sense of mystery and destiny. The lumiflora seemed to glow brighter as she passed, their soft light illuminating ancient carvings on the cave walls that she had never truly seen before. These weren't the simple scrawlings of early cave dwellers. These were intricate, sweeping murals, etched into the crystalline rock with exquisite precision. They depicted figures, not quite human, with elongated limbs and eyes that seemed to hold the light of distant galaxies. They wore robes woven from what looked like starlight, and their hands were often raised towards a central orb, a radiant portrayal of Lumina, crisscrossed with the golden lines she had witnessed in her vision. Around this central Lumina, countless smaller orbs, the stars, revolved in a graceful dance. These were the Dreamweavers, she realized, a name that echoed in her mind from the shard's revelation. An ancient people who understood Lumina's cosmic role, who lived in harmony with its starlit song. As she moved from mural to mural, guided by the shard's unwavering light, Elara pieced together their story. The Dreamweavers had not merely observed the stars, they had actively participated in Lumina's cosmic symphony. They built magnificent structures, not of stone, but of resonant crystal and living light, designed to amplify Lumina's song and weave its dreams into the fabric of the universe. These structures, depicted in stunning detail, were like conduits, drawing starlight into the planet and radiating Lumina's essence back out. But then the murals shifted. The vibrant colors began to dull. The golden lines on Lumina's depiction grew faint. The Dreamweavers' faces, once serene and joyful, became etched with concern, then sorrow. They were shown performing elaborate rituals, their hands outstretched, trying desperately to rekindle the fading light, to mend the weakening connection. The murals depicted a subtle, creeping shadow, not a malevolent entity, but a formless absence, a growing silence that muffled Lumina's song. It was a forgetfulness, a slow drift into slumber that threatened to sever the vital link between Lumina and its celestial dreams. One mural, larger and more intricate than the rest, showed a lone figure, a Dreamweaver holding aloft a shard identical to the one in Elara's hand. This figure stood before a magnificent, spiraling crystal structure, bathed in fading starlight, its face resolute yet tinged with melancholy. Beneath this image, etched in luminous script that pulsed faintly with the shard's energy, were symbols Elara intuitively understood, though she had never learned their language. They spoke of a great slumber, a time when Lumina's song would grow faint, and the stars themselves would seem to dim. They spoke of seeds of awakening, fragments of Lumina's cosmic heart, scattered across the land, each holding a piece of the forgotten song. And then, a prophecy, shimmering with hope. When the dreamer sleeps and the song grows soft, on Tiadhen, Kaye, a child of Lumina, with heart unlost, shall find a seed, a beacon bright wars. Hunt journey forth to mend the fading light. Ilo menigoman and she. Across the lands, where ancient echoes sleep, I shall wake the song, the cosmic promise keep. Nin. Ante. Elara's breath hitched. A child of Lumina. A seed. The fading light. Was. This wasn't just ancient history. It was a horror story, unfolding before her very eyes. The Stardust shard in her hand was not merely a fragment of the cosmos. It was one of the seeds of awakening, a key, a living piece of Lumina's forgotten song. The final mural was simpler, yet deeply moving. It showed the Dreamweavers, their task incomplete, their faces filled with a quiet dignity, dispersing into the land, leaving behind their structures, their knowledge and their seeds, entrusting the future to generations yet unborn. They seemed to melt into the very earth, becoming one with Lumina, their hope a lingering whisper in the wind. Elara stood before the murals for what felt like an eternity, absorbing every detail, every nuance of their tragic and hopeful tale. The weight of this ancient knowledge, this profound responsibility, settled upon her shoulders, yet it was not a burden. Instead, it ignited a fierce, quiet determination within her. She was not just a girl who loved the stars. She was a guardian, chosen by Lumina itself to help rekindle its cosmic song. The shard, as if confirming her understanding, pulsed with a renewed vigor, its light now a steady, warm glow. It no longer pointed deeper into the caves, but seemed to direct her back towards the surface, towards the wider world of Lumina, towards the ancient structures hinted at in the murals. She knew with an unshakable certainty that her journey had only just begun. The crystal caves had been the place of revelation, the sanctuary where the past had whispered its secrets. Now, Lumina itself called to her, a vast, wondrous landscape waiting to be explored, its slumbering song waiting to be awakened. As she retraced her steps, the Lumiflora seemed to bow slightly as she passed, their soft light illuminating her path with reverence. The air, once heavy with the scent of astral blooms, now felt charged with anticipation, a vibrant hum that sang of adventure. Elara emerged from the crystal caves, just as the first sliver of dawn painted the eastern sky with hues of rose and violet. The stars, though fading in the encroaching light, seemed to twinkle with a knowing glimmer, as if acknowledging her new purpose. The world looked the same, yet it was utterly transformed. Every tree, every stream, every mountain was now part of the intricate, shimmering tapestry she had glimpsed in her vision. Lumina was alive, a vast, dreaming entity, and she, Elara, held a piece of its heart in her hand. The Stardust shard pulsed softly, a constant, comforting presence. It guided her gaze towards the distant peaks of the Whispering Mountains, where ancient, moss-covered structures, half hidden by clouds, hinted at the grandeur of the Dreamweaver's lost civilization. These weren't mere ruins. They were the slumbering conduits, the ancient amplifiers of Lumina's cosmic song. She knew she couldn't rush this. The task was immense, requiring patience, understanding, and perhaps allies. But the path was clear. She needed to find these ancient sites, learn how to reawaken them, how to help Lumina sing again. The Dreamweavers had left their legacy, their hope for a new generation to discover. And Elara, with the Stardust shard warming her hand, was ready to answer that call. The journey ahead would be long, filled with wonders and challenges. She would have to decipher more ancient texts, traverse landscapes both familiar and unknown, and perhaps even find other seeds of awakening. But for now, as the sun rose higher and bathed Lumina in its golden light, Elara simply stood, the Stardust shard glowing faintly, a silent promise against the dawn. The cosmic song might be soft, but it was not silent. And she, a girl with starlight in her heart, would help it roar once more. Her adventure, the greatest adventure of her life, had truly begun. Her adventure, the greatest adventure of her life, had truly begun. The morning sun, now a brilliant orb above Lumina, painted the city in hues of gold and rose. Its light warmed Elara's face, but the Stardust shard, nestled gently against her chest, felt like a miniature sun itself, a vibrant living warmth. The cosmic song was indeed soft, a whisper only she could hear, but within that whisper, a symphony of possibilities bloomed. She stood for a long moment, letting the enormity of her discovery and the weight of her destiny settle upon her shoulders. Lumina, her beloved city, began to stir around her, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the sweet scent of morning pastries wafting from bakeries, the soft laughter of children playing in the cobbled streets. Yet, she felt a profound sense of isolation, as if she alone carried this secret, this sacred trust. She knew she couldn't simply walk out the city gates and expect to find ancient texts or other seeds of awakening. This quest demanded more than mere courage. It required knowledge, wisdom, and a deep understanding of the cosmos. Her grandmother, a woman whose eyes always held the sparkle of forgotten stars, had often spoken of the Library of Echoes, a repository of Lumina's oldest secrets, not found on any map, but whispered into existence by those who truly sought its wisdom. Elara had always dismissed them as bedtime stories, fanciful tales spun to lull her to sleep. Now, she wondered. Closing her eyes, Elara focused on the Stardust shard. It hummed, a gentle vibration that resonated deep within her bones. She wasn't sure what she was doing, only that she was reaching out, asking for guidance. The hum intensified, a soft, almost imperceptible pull, like a silken thread drawing her forward. She opened her eyes. The familiar streets of Lumina seemed to shimmer faintly, and the pull grew stronger, urging her away from the bustling market square and towards the older, quieter parts of the city, where ivy-clad walls told tales of centuries past and sunlight struggled to pierce the dense foliage of ancient trees. The shard led her through narrow alleys, past forgotten fountains, and eventually to a section of the city that was almost entirely reclaimed by nature. Here, the cobblestones were cracked, ancient oak trees burst through dilapidated walls, and waterfalls of emerald vines cascaded over crumbling archways. The air grew cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth and blooming night jasmine. The faint hum of the shard grew louder, guiding her to a particularly dense thicket of shimmering silverleaf vines, which grew so thickly they formed an impenetrable wall of greenery. As she approached, the silverleaf vines parted as if by an unseen breeze, revealing not a solid wall, but a shimmering curtain of light, like heat rising from a desert road, but cool and inviting. This was it. The entrance to the Library of Echoes. Taking a deep breath, Elara stepped through the veil. The world shifted around her. The bustling sounds of Lumina vanished, replaced by a profound, echoing silence. She found herself in a vast circular chamber, carved not from stone, but from what appeared to be living, petrified wood. Twisted roots formed natural arches, and the walls pulsed with a soft bioluminescent glow from patches of luminous fungi that clung to every surface. Instead of shelves, countless scrolls and ancient tomes floated gently in the air, swirling in lazy, silent currents, each emitting a faint individual aura of light and knowledge. The air itself thrummed with a quiet, powerful energy, a library not just of books, but of living thoughts and memories. At the very center of the chamber, seated at a gnarled desk that seemed to have grown directly from the roots, was a figure. He was ancient, his form a harmonious blend of man and tree, with skin like weathered bark and long flowing hair that resembled tangled moss. His eyes, though deep-set and surrounded by a network of fine lines, shone with the warmth of polished amber, reflecting the swirling scrolls. He wore robes woven from iridescent spider silk, shimmering with every subtle movement. This was Master Eldrin, the rumored guardian of scrolls, a living bridge between Lumina's present and its forgotten past. He didn't speak, but his amber eyes, filled with an ageless wisdom, met Elara's. A gentle smile, slow and deliberate, spread across his face, crinkling the corners of his eyes. He lifted a hand, gnarled and covered in fine moss, and gestured towards the Stardust shard at her chest. Its glow intensified in his presence, a silent acknowledgement. Elara felt a wave of calm wash over her. There was no need for fear here, only reverence. "Master Eldrin," she whispered, her voice feeling impossibly small in the vast, echoing space. I seek knowledge about the cosmic song and the seeds of awakening." Eldrin's smile widened. He gestured again, this time towards a cluster of scrolls that glowed with a particularly vibrant, pulsing light, distinct from the gentle hum of the others. These scrolls floated closer, obedient to his unspoken command, settling gently before Elara. Their parchment was thin and brittle, covered in intricate glyphs that shimmered with an inner light, constantly shifting and reforming. They were unlike any language Elara had ever seen. "These are the words of the first dawn." Eldrin's voice was a deep, resonant hum, like the sound of roots growing through rich earth, ancient and soothing. "They speak of the great melody, and its children, the lumen seeds. Only those touched by the Stardust may read their true meaning." He offered her a quill, made from a single iridescent feather, and a small, smooth slate. Trace the glyphs, child of light, let the shard guide your hand. Elara hesitated, then took the quill. As her fingers brushed the first scroll, the Stardust shard pulsed against her skin, sending a warm tingle up her arm. She focused, letting her intuition take over, and began to trace the shimmering glyphs on the slate. It was slow work. At first, the symbols were meaningless, but as she concentrated, allowing the shard's energy to flow through her, the glyphs began to shift, to rearrange themselves in her mind, forming images and concepts rather than mere words. It was like reading a dream. The text spoke of a time before time when the universe was a single harmonious note, the cosmic song. This song was the essence of all creation, weaving stars into tapestries of light, breathing life into planets, and giving rise to myriad species. But then a chilling discord entered the cosmic melody. The shadow blight. It was not a creature or an army, but a creeping emptiness, a void that sought to consume all light, all sound, all existence, leaving only silence and oblivion. To protect the great melody, the Elder Weavers, beings of pure starlight, shattered the cosmic song into countless fragments, scattering them across the nascent universe. These fragments were the lumen seeds, each a tiny echo of the original symphony, pulsing with dormant power. Their purpose was to endure, hidden in the heart of worlds, until a time of great need, when they could be reawakened and woven back into a whole, restoring the universe's harmony. The Stardust shards, like the one Elara carried, were the keys, the conductors, capable of finding and reawakening the seeds. The text went on to describe the nature of the shadow blight, how it sought to extinguish the joy and light from sentient beings, feeding on despair and discord. It was a subtle foe, often working through whispers of doubt, fostering division, and slowly eroding hope. The silenced cosmic song was not just a metaphor, it was a physical manifestation of this blight's success, a dulling of the universe's vibrancy. As Elara continued to trace, her mind racing with these revelations, the text began to focus on specific lumen seeds. The first one, the one calling to her most strongly, was described as the seed of whispering willows, nestled deep within the heartwood grove of Ethelgard. Ethelgard. The name resonated with a soft, ethereal beauty. The text painted it as a realm of perpetual twilight, where ancient willows wept tears of starlight into shimmering rivers, and the very air hummed with forgotten melodies. It was a place where dreams took form, and the boundaries between thought and reality were thin. It was also home to the Dreamweavers, beings who tended to the collective unconscious of their world, shaping its ethereal landscapes. The seed of whispering willows, the text explained, was crucial for restoring the flow of creative energy and intuition to the cosmic song. Elara looked up from the slate, her heart pounding with a mix of awe and trepidation. "Ethelgard," she whispered. "How do I reach it, Master Eldrin?" Eldrin's eyes twinkled. He slowly rose, his movements as fluid as the rustling of leaves. He glided towards a section of the chamber where the roots converged, forming a natural archway. With a gentle touch he revealed another scroll, far older and more delicate than the others, glowing with a soft, pearlescent light. "The passage to Ethelgard," his voice resonated, "is through a moon gate. These gates are ancient portals, woven from starlight and moonlight, existing between realms. They appear only when Lumina's twin moons, Irian and Lyra, align perfectly in the night sky. And they open only to the specific resonance of a stardust shard, attuned to its destination." Elara looked towards the ceiling of the chamber, which shimmered as if it were a window to the night sky, revealing the twin moons in their slow celestial dance. "When will they align?" Eldrin tilted his head. "Soon, child. In 3 nights the convergence will be complete. You must find the nearest moon gate by then." He reached into the folds of his robes and produced a small, delicate object. It was a living flower, its petals a luminous silver, glowing with a soft internal light. "This is a moon petal compass. It will guide you to the nearest active moon gate. Once in Ethelgard, its light will also protect you from the more unsettling dream currents and help you discern truth from illusion." He pressed the compass into her hand. It felt cool and alive, pulsing faintly. Ethelgard is a world of gentle magic, but its dreams can be a labyrinth. Trust your inner light, Elara, the one the shard awakens. It is your true north. He then reached again into his robes, producing a small woven satchel. For your journey, sun gems, to warm you against Ethelgard's perpetual twilight, and dried star fruits for sustenance. The path of a weaver of light is long, and sustenance is as important as spirit. Elara clutched the compass and the satchel, overwhelmed by his generosity and wisdom. Thank you, Master Eldrin. I don't know how to repay you. He smiled, a deep, knowing smile. By bringing the cosmic song back to full voice, child. That is repayment enough for all of us who have listened in silence for too long. He paused, his gaze thoughtful. Be wary of the shadow blight, Elara. It is not always obvious. It can manifest as doubt, as fear, as the temptation to give up. Hold fast to hope, for it is the counter-melody to the blight's discord. With a final reassuring nod, Eldrin gestured towards the shimmering veil through which she had entered. Go now, child of Lumina. The stars await your touch. Elara bowed deeply, her heart brimming with gratitude and a fierce determination. She stepped back through the shimmering veil, emerging into the familiar, waking world of Lumana. The sun was now high, painting the streets in bright, clear light. The sounds of the city returned, a gentle cacophony, but they no longer felt separate from her. She was a part of it, and now she was also a part of something far grander, far more ancient. The moon-petal compass in her hand pulsed, a living guide, its silver light gently pointing towards the northeastern edge of the city, towards the ancient, overgrown cliffs that overlooked the vast, shimmering expanse of the azure sea. That was where the nearest moon gate would appear. Elara made her way home, her steps lighter, yet more purposeful. She gathered a few essentials, a sturdy cloak, a water skin, a small pouch of Lumina's famed healing herbs, and a journal to record her discoveries. As she packed, she glanced at the twin moons, now visible in the daytime sky, their pale discs a promise of the journey to come. Arian and Lyra, slowly but surely, were moving into alignment. 3 nights. The Stardust shard, now a steady companion, pulsed against her chest, a warm, guiding beacon. She stood at her window, looking out at Lumina, a city she loved, a city she was now destined to leave, however temporarily. A faint, almost imperceptible melody resonated within her, a quiet whisper of the cosmic song. It was a melody of hope, of courage, and of the profound journey that lay ahead. Her heart swelled, a mixture of trepidation and exhilarating anticipation. The greatest adventure of her life had truly begun, and its next step would take her far beyond the familiar embrace of home, into the ethereal beauty of Ethelgard, the realm of whispering willows. The shimmering veil parted not with a dramatic flourish, but a gentle sigh, like mist lifting from a slumbering lake. Elara stepped through, her breath catching in her throat. Ethelgard was not a place of sharp edges or vibrant, startling colors, but a realm woven from soft light and hushed hues. Everything seemed to glow from within. The very air hummed with a gentle, resonant energy. Towering willows, their branches weeping cascades of luminous, silver-green leaves, formed an endless cathedral around her. Their slender trunks pulsed with a faint inner light, and as she watched, a breeze, impossibly soft, stirred their foliage. The rustling was not merely the sound of leaves, but a chorus of whispers, a delicate interwoven melody that resonated with the faint cosmic song she carried within her. Beneath her feet, the ground was a carpet of bioluminescent moss, soft as down, that pulsed with a slow rhythmic glow, like 1,000 sleeping fireflies. Rivers of liquid starlight meandered through the groves, their banks lined with flowers that unfurled petals of spun moonlight. The air carried the scent of sweet rain, crushed herbs, and something else, something ancient and pure, like the heart of a dream. Elara felt an immediate sense of belonging, as if her soul had found a long-lost echo. She walked deeper into the grove, her bare feet sinking slightly into the soft moss. Her trepidation had melted away, replaced by an exhilarating wonder. This was a place of deep magic, profound peace, and an almost unbearable beauty. As she moved, the whispers of the willows grew clearer. They spoke not in words but in feelings, in the gentle brush of their leaves against her skin, in the way the light dappled around her. "Welcome, child of the waking world," they seemed to hum. "Welcome to the heart of the song. Ondil wonite metadensenia, wanemain termasitai. Ka, wanimde." Suddenly, the largest willow she had yet seen came into view. It was immense, its trunk as wide as a small cottage, its branches reaching up into the ethereal sky like the arms of an ancient dancer. Its leaves, more silver than green, shimmered with an intense inner light, and from its depths emanated the clearest, most resonant note of the cosmic song she had ever heard. As she drew near, a section of its bark seemed to shift, coalesce, and then, with a sound like rustling silk, a face began to emerge from the wood. It was a face of profound age and gentle wisdom, carved from the living bark, with eyes like pools of amber light. Its lips, formed from the grain of the wood, slowly parted. "Greetings, Elara," a voice resonated, not from the air but from deep within the earth, a sound like roots shifting and ancient rivers flowing. "I am Eldrin, the eldest of the Willowkin, and a guardian of this realm." Elara curtsied instinctively, her heart thrumming. How do you know my name?" Eldrin's amber eyes seemed to twinkle. "I know. The cosmic song carries many names, child, and yours has been sung into our awareness. You carry its echo just as Lyraeus carries its full melody." "Lyraeus," Elara whispered, the name a bittersweet memory. Is he truly here?" "He is," Eldrin confirmed, the deep voice resonating with a quiet sorrow, yet also a profound acceptance. "He prepares for his great ascent. The time has come for him to become one with the cosmic currents, to weave his essence into the grand tapestry of the song across distant realms. It is not an ending, Elara, but a transformation, a merging with the infinite. His journey ensures the song's harmony across places you cannot yet imagine." Elara felt a pang of longing, but also a growing understanding. "And my purpose here? Why was I called?" "Your purpose, dear Elara, is twofold," Eldrin explained. "Firstly, to understand and facilitate Lyraeus's journey, to ensure that the song here in Ethelgard remains vibrant during this transition. For the song, though eternal, can dim in places, much like a star can momentarily cloud. And secondly, to awaken the deeper resonance of the song within yourself, for you are destined to become a new conduit, a new guardian of its harmony in your own unique way." Elara looked up at the vast luminous willow, feeling the weight of the task, yet also a thrill of purpose. "How can I do that?" "By listening," Eldrin replied, a gentle rustle passing through its leaves. "By connecting. By remembering the ancient harmonies that flow through all living things. The cosmic song is not merely sound. It is the pulse of creation, the light of understanding, the whisper of all existence. It has of late become slightly fractured within Ethelgard. A few notes out of place, a few rhythms faltering. Lyraeus' imminent ascent, while necessary, has caused a subtle tremor. You, with your innate sensitivity, can help mend the small dissonance." "I will try," Elara said, her voice small but firm. "Good. Your journey will involve 3 gentle trials, each designed not to test your strength, but your spirit, your intuition, and your capacity for connection. They will guide you deeper into the heart of Ethelgard and the song itself." Eldrin's amber eyes softened. "Are you ready, Elara?" She took a deep breath, the scent of starlight filling her lungs. "Yes, I am ready." "One man's in." Eldrin's branches extended, forming a shimmering archway, and beyond it lay the path to Elara's first trial, the luminous labyrinth. "This grove," Eldrin's voice echoed in her mind, "is a place where the song's light and sound are subtly distorted. You must find your way through, not by sight alone, but by listening to the true whispers of the willows, by letting your inner stillness guide you." As Elara stepped beneath the arch, the luminous moss glowed even brighter, outlining a path that twisted and turned between an impossible density of willow trees. These willows were different from Eldrin, younger, their branches intertwining so closely they formed living walls, creating a maze of shimmering green and silver. The light here was kaleidoscopic, shifting from emerald to sapphire to amethyst, casting enchanting, confusing shadows. And the whispers were everywhere. A cacophony of gentle rustles, soft hums and murmuring breezes, all blending into a beautiful but disorienting symphony. It was difficult to discern a direction, a true path, amidst the harmonious chaos. Elara closed her eyes for a moment, letting the myriad sounds wash over her. She tried to focus on the faint cosmic song within her, to use it as an anchor. When she opened her eyes, she noticed something new. Tiny, luminous specks of light, no bigger than fireflies, began to appear around her. They had delicate iridescent wings that shimmered with every beat, and they flitted playfully through the air. These were the Glimmerwings, the tiny fey guardians of light and subtle magic. One of them, bolder than the rest, zipped close to her face, then danced ahead, pausing at a particular point in the willow wall, its light intensifying for a moment before moving on. Elara understood. These were her guides. They weren't pointing to an obvious path, but to the subtle shifts in the willow whispers, to the places where the true harmony resonated. She began to follow, stepping lightly. Sometimes the Glimmerwings would lead her to a seemingly impassable wall of branches, only for her to notice a single barely discernible gap, or a cluster of leaves that shimmered with a slightly different hue, indicating a way through. She learned to trust not just her sight, but her feelings, her intuition. When a path felt wrong, a subtle discord would prickle at the edges of her inner song. When she was on the right track, a sense of quiet peace would settle over her. The whispers of the willows grew clearer as she progressed. They spoke of patience, of hidden depths, of the interconnectedness of all things. She learned to filter out the superficial sounds, to focus on the deep, resonant hum that pulsed beneath everything. It was like learning to distinguish a single instrument in a grand orchestra. Hours passed, or perhaps moments. Time felt fluid in Ethelgard. The kaleidoscope of light softened, gradually transitioning from the vibrant hues to a more serene silver glow. Finally, the willow walls began to thin, and Elara stepped out into a clearing, bathed in the gentle, unwavering light of a full ethereal moon that hung eternally in Ethelgard's sky. The Glimmerwings danced around her, their tiny lights creating a joyful halo before they dispersed into the glowing air. She had found her way. A sense of deep stillness settled within her. She had learned to listen, truly listen, not just with her ears, but with her whole being. The luminous labyrinth had taught her that the true path is often revealed not by grand signs, but by subtle whispers, and that inner stillness is the key to hearing them. Her second trial led her to the Starlight River. Eldrin's voice, now a gentle presence in her mind, instructed her. The river of whispering starlight, though beautiful, flows with a fractured song. Its rhythm is uneven, and its melody is incomplete. You must find the source of its disharmony and gently mend its flow, restoring its true voice. Elara approached the riverbank. The Starlight River was breathtaking, a wide, slow-moving current of liquid light, sparkling with 1,000 captured stars. It flowed with an otherworldly grace, reflecting the luminous willows and the ethereal moon. However, as she drew closer, she felt what Eldrin had described. The river's hum, while lovely, was punctuated by moments of silence, by sudden surges and inexplicable eddies. Its song was beautiful, but it lacked the seamless, unbroken flow of true harmony. Upon the river's shimmering surface, she saw movement. Playful, translucent forms, like beings made of water and light, frolicked and danced. These were the river sprites, their laughter like the tinkling of tiny bells. But their joy was tempered by a visible sadness. They would chase each other, their bodies leaving trails of light, only to pause, their luminous faces clouded with confusion as the river's flow would suddenly stutter or change direction without warning. "Greetings," Elara called out softly. The sprites turned, their shimmering eyes like droplets of dew, fixated on her. One, slightly larger and brighter than the rest, drifted closer to the bank. "Greetings, walker of solid ground," it chimed, its voice like the gentle lapping of water. "Are you here to mend our river's sorrow?" "I hope so," Elara replied, her heart aching for their sadness. "What troubles your home?" "The song is broken," the sprite explained, its voice growing fainter. "Our river's heart does not beat true. We cannot dance the ancient dances, for the rhythm falters. The light flow is uneven. It has been thus since the great tremor when Lyraeus began his preparation for the ascent." Elara nodded. She knelt at the river's edge, extending a hand towards the shimmering water. She didn't touch it, but simply held her palm above the surface, closing her eyes. She focused on the cosmic song within her, letting it resonate. Then she extended that resonance towards the river. She felt the subtle disharmony more clearly now, a cold spot here, a rushing vortex there, a place where the light seemed to dim and then flicker erratically. She opened her eyes and followed the feeling. Her gaze led her to a cluster of iridescent stones on the riverbed, near a small waterfall where the starlight tumbled over smooth, rounded rocks. One stone, larger than the others, seemed to absorb the light rather than reflect it. It pulsed with a faint, almost imperceptible darkness, a tiny void in the river's brilliant current. It wasn't evil, Elara realized, but simply out of place, slightly misaligned, causing a ripple of discord. Carefully, Elara waded into the river, the liquid starlight warm and comforting around her ankles. The river sprites dotted around her, their curiosity overcoming their sadness. She reached the stone and knelt beside it. And it felt cool beneath her fingers, and she could feel the subtle pull of its disharmony. She didn't try to remove it, or force it. Instead, she placed both hands gently on the stone, closing her eyes once more. She focused her inner song, letting it flow into her hands, into the stone, like warm, soothing light. She imagined the cosmic song as a gentle current, washing over the stone, coaxing it, aligning it. She hummed a soft, wordless melody, a lullaby of harmony she intuitively knew. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the stone began to change. The faint darkness receded, replaced by a soft inner glow that matched the surrounding starlight. It hummed gently, aligning its frequency with the river's flow. The uneven currents around it smoothed, and the previously fractured melody of the river began to mend, weaving itself into a continuous flowing song. The river sprites, sensing the change, began to dance with renewed vigor, their laughter now pure and unrestrained. The largest sprite drifted close to Elara, its luminous form shimmering with gratitude. "You have mended our song, Elara," it chimed, its voice full of joy. "The river's heart beats true once more." Elara smiled, her own heart swelling with warmth. She had learned that mending disharmony didn't require force, but gentle connection, understanding, and the willingness to share one's own inner light. "And how much say Estain?" Eldrin was waiting for her by the heartwood, the oldest and most magnificent willow in all of Ethelgard. Its trunk was so vast it seemed to be a living mountain, its branches so ancient they were gnarled and thick, stretching like colossal arms towards the sky, their leaves a deep, shimmering emerald. From its very core emanated a powerful, rhythmic thrumming, the heartbeat of Ethelgard itself. "You have listened well, Elara, and mended with grace," Eldrin's deep voice resonated. "Now for your final trial, the Heartwood's dream." Laraeus prepares for his ascent within its deepest chambers, and his profound transformation has caused the Heartwood's dreams to become troubled. These dreams are vital to the cosmic song, for they are the ancient memories and hopes of Ethelgard. You must enter a dreamlike state, soothe its slumber, and restore clarity to its troubled vision. Elara felt a thrill of awe and a whisper of apprehension. To enter the dream of such an ancient being, to touch the very consciousness of Ethelgard itself, was a daunting thought. Eldrin extended a low-hanging branch, its leaves glowing with an inviting warmth. "Lay your hands upon my bark, child. Let your spirit follow the deep roots of connection. I will guide your entry." Elara approached the heartwood, its immense presence both humbling and comforting. She placed her hands on its bark, feeling the rough, ancient texture, and immediately felt a surge of energy, a profound sense of life pulsating beneath her palms. She closed her eyes, focusing on her inner song, letting it resonate with the heartwood's powerful thrum. The world around her began to dissolve. The gentle light of Ethelgard shimmered and faded, replaced by a swirling vortex of colors and sensations. It was not a chaotic storm, but a gradual immersion, like sinking into a pool of warm, fragrant water. She felt her consciousness shift, expanding beyond her physical form, and then she was simply Gethere, within the Heartwood's dream. The dreamscape was a vast, misty landscape of shifting light and shadow. Images flickered like half-remembered memories, ancient forests rising and falling, rivers of starlight flowing backward, figures of light dancing, and then fading. Melodies, beautiful but disjointed, drifted through the air, snatches of the cosmic song, but fragmented, like a broken music box. She saw glimpses of Laraeus, a shimmering, distant form, deep within the dream, his essence radiating immense power, but also a profound, focused concentration that hinted at the intensity of his upcoming transformation. His preparations were stirring the deepest layers of Ethelgard's ancient consciousness. Elara realized the dream wasn't a nightmare to be fought, but a troubled slumber, filled with echoes of anxieties and forgotten harmonies. She didn't feel fear, but a deep wellspring of compassion. She moved through the dream, a form of light herself, her inner song a clear, steady beacon. When she encountered a fragmented memory, a whisper of ancient sorrow, she didn't try to dismiss it. Instead, she gently embraced it, letting her own warm light envelop the troubled image. She hummed the cosmic song, not as a strong melody, but as a soft, comforting lullaby, allowing its natural harmony to gently reweave the broken threads of the Heartwood's consciousness. She came across places where the colors were muted, where the melodies were silent. Here, she would pause, and softly, intuitively, she would begin to sing. Her voice, though unheard by physical ears, resonated through the dreamscape, a pure, unadorned sound. It wasn't a performance, but an offering, a gift of warmth and understanding. As she sang, the muted colors would brighten, the silent spaces would fill with a gentle hum, and the fragmented melodies would slowly, miraculously, begin to coalesce into coherent, beautiful strains of the cosmic song. She felt a profound connection to the Heartwood, to Ethelgard, to Lyraeus, and to the very fabric of creation. She understood that the song was not just music, but the essence of shared experience, of memory, of hope. Her task was to bring clarity, to soothe, to remind the Heartwood of its own enduring beauty. At one point, as she mended a particularly poignant fragment of ancient memory, Lyraeus's shimmering form seemed to grow clearer, closer. He turned towards her within the dream, his features indistinct, but his presence radiating immense love and gratitude. He lifted a hand and gave her a silent nod, a gesture of profound encouragement and acknowledgement. It was a moment of deep connection, a silent farewell, a passing of the torch. She felt his essence, now so vast and encompassing, already beginning to merge with the cosmic currents. With a final deep resonance of her inner song, Elara felt the dreamscape shift. The fragmented images coalesced into a serene, flowing tapestry of light and sound. Melodies harmonized, becoming a single, vast, beautiful symphony. The Heartwood's dream had found its peace, its slumber now deep and restorative. Elara felt herself gently lifted, drawn back towards the surface of her own consciousness. The familiar scent of starlight and moss filled her senses, and she opened her eyes to find herself back at the base of the Heartwood, her hands still resting on its bark. The mighty tree pulsed with a renewed, vibrant energy, its leaves shimmering with an even deeper emerald glow. The air around the Heartwood thrummed with an unprecedented energy. The sky above Ethelgard, usually a soft, unchanging twilight, now shimmered with nascent starlight, as if the veil between worlds was thinning. The willow-kin throughout the realm began to hum, their collective sound rising in a gentle anticipatory crescendo. The glimmerwings danced in dizzying spirals, their tiny lights forming constellations in the air. Elara stood before the Heartwood, feeling the culmination of everything. The trials had sharpened her senses, deepened her intuition, and affirmed her connection to the cosmic song. She was no longer just listening to its faint echo, she was becoming a part of its vibrant chorus. From the deepest part of the Heartwood, a light began to emerge. It was Lyraeus, no longer in any recognizable form, but as a being of pure, radiant energy, of shimmering light and resonant sound. He was a pillar of starlight, pulsing with the very essence of the cosmic song, a living, breathing melody. His ascent was not a departure in sorrow, but a sublime transformation, a necessary step in the grand cosmic dance. Slowly, majestically, Lyraeus began to rise. He ascended from the Heartwood's embrace, his light illuminating the entire realm, painting the willows in hues of gold and silver. His form stretched upwards, dissolving gracefully into shimmering starlight and resonant tones, merging seamlessly with the cosmic currents that now swirled in the sky above Ethelgard. Each flicker of light, each wave of sound was a note in the grand symphony, a testament to his profound journey. He was becoming one with the cosmos, weaving his essence into the distant reaches of the universe, ensuring the harmony of the song across realms beyond comprehension. As Lyraeus ascended, Elara felt a powerful, undeniable surge of the cosmic song within her. It was no longer a whisper, but a clear, resonant hum, a vibrant melody that pulsed in her very soul. She understood now. Her role was not to replace Lyrae, for no one could replace such a magnificent being. Instead, she was to become a new conduit, a guardian of Ethelgard's harmony in her own unique way. She was a different instrument in the same orchestra, playing a new, vital part. The song was not lost. It was simply transforming, expanding, and she was an intrinsic part of its ongoing melody. A deep, abiding sense of peace settled over her. Laraeus was not gone. He had simply become vast, and his essence now echoed through the very cosmos, strengthening the song she had helped to mend. The ascent continued until Laraeus's light merged completely with the celestial currents, becoming indistinguishable from the swirling starlight above. The sky settled back into its soft, ethereal twilight, but now it seemed to pulse with a deeper, richer glow, infused with the essence of his journey. A profound quiet descended upon Ethelgard, not of absence but of completion. Eldrin's voice resonated, full of quiet joy. He is one with the song, Elara. And you, child, have helped ensure its vibrancy here. You have found your own melody within the grand symphony. Elara looked around Ethelgard. The willows glowed brighter, the starlight river flowed with an unbroken, shimmering harmony, and the air hummed with a renewed, joyful energy. The realm was vibrant, whole, and utterly at peace. She felt a profound sense of belonging, a deep connection to this magical place. Yet she also felt a gentle pull towards her own world, knowing that her journey was complete, and she carried Ethelgard within her. "Thank you, Eldrin," Elara said, her voice filled with heartfelt gratitude. "Thank you for guiding me." "The path was always within you, Elara," the ancient willow replied. "We merely helped you to see it. Now the choice is yours. Ethelgard will always welcome you. But your own world awaits, ready to be touched by the harmony you now carry." Elara closed her eyes, picturing her familiar room, the soft blanket on her bed, the moon shining through her window. She felt a deep sense of contentment. She had found something precious, something profound, and she knew it would enrich every moment of her life. She didn't need to stay in Ethelgard to keep its magic. Its magic now resided within her. With a final deep breath of the starlight-scented air, she whispered her farewell. The shimmering veil reappeared, not as a barrier, but as an invitation. She stepped through, feeling the gentle transition, the soft shift of realms. Elara opened her eyes. She was in her own bed, the familiar warmth of her blankets surrounding her. Moonlight streamed through her window, casting soft shadows across her room. Everything was as it had been, yet everything felt different, richer, infused with a quiet, shimmering magic. The faint melody of the cosmic song, which had once been an almost imperceptible whisper, was now a clear, comforting hum within her. It resonated with the beat of her heart, a constant reminder of Ethelgard, of Laraeus, and of the profound journey she had undertaken. She knew Laraeus was safe, not lost, but transformed, a part of the greater harmony that spanned the entire cosmos. His essence was in every starlit night, every rustling leaf, every gentle breeze. She carried the wisdom of Ethelgard within her, the lessons of listening, of gentle mending, of compassionate understanding. Her world was now infused with this quiet magic. She understood the interconnectedness of all things, the subtle harmonies that existed even in the busiest of days, the gentle whispers of magic that were always present, even when unseen. Lying in her bed, wrapped in the comfort of her home and the wonder of her memories, Elara smiled. The greatest adventure of her life had truly begun, and brought her back home, a little different, a little wiser, and forever connected to the ethereal beauty of Ethelgard, the realm of whispering willows. As sleep gently pulled her back into its embrace, the cosmic song hummed softly in her heart, a lullaby of peace, wonder, and the endless magic that dreams are made of.